All right. So in the last class, we looked at object-oriented programming in that. So we explore how to create an object, and we 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 introduce the basics. I mean, we introduce the concepts of object-oriented programming, which by today we will take those concepts one by one. But let's just do a quick recap of what we learned. We understand that object is a real world entity, right? Just like Oladapo helps us to define. So we understand that um the syntax to create an object is, I mean, yeah, this is the syntax to create an object. There is class, then the object. So in this case, we know that object is a reward entity. So in just in for example, your smartwatch is an object. You as a person is an object. So anything around you is an object, right? So we can represent those objects in our in our code. We can create our own objects. So, and we know that a class is a blueprint of an object, just like we have here. This is a class. This is a class of the class of smartwatch. In this class is where we declare the the blueprint of our objects, all the properties we want our objects to have, and all the functions that we want our objects to be able to do. So we create an object of smartwatch which have four fields. One is time, is switch on, buttons, and strap. Those are the properties of our objects. And we look at the two types of constructor we can use to instantiate our objects. So this is the first type of the constructor. This type of constructor is not commonly used now for in that. Though this is still the constructor they use in some other programming language, especially Java. I'm sure of Java. This is how to instantiate your fields in Java. But this is okay in that as well. But that gives us a simpler approach to create uh, our constructor. And this is it. If you look at it, you see this is quite it's more like it has less code. It's quite straightforward. So this is the syntax to create a constructor, your object name, then open brackets. This curly brackets is because we wanted to make it a named parameter. We wanted to make the parameters named parameters. That is why we have this curly brackets. If it's not there, if you look at the class on functions, you see that we have named parameters and positional parameter. So if you want hello, are you guys following?
So I see.
Debo and Fifo, are you guys following?
Yes, yeah.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so we understand that there are two types of parameters. We have named parameters and positional parameters. So the named parameters are the one with where you put okay, the positional parameters are the one that you just put your brackets, then your fields inside it like that, like just like this. You will not put the required for positional parameters. because by default they are required by default. So this is a positional parameters. So, but this is named parameters. You guys should pay attention. See how each everything have been created, right? So this is a constructor, and constructor is used to instantiate our objects. By default, if we do not have this by default, that will give us a default constructor, which we can use in our main file. We can say we can say smartwatch execute. Okay, let me just name it and call it smartwatch. So by default, that gives us this default constructor that has no parameter, but we can override that by creating our own constructor like this. So I hope you guys are following.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so now we looked at, so this is instantiating your object. Like I said, um class is a blueprint of an object, and object is an instance of, sorry, class is a blueprint of an object, while object is the instance of your class. Do you get? So this object that you see we created here is an instance this this smartwatch class. So everything you are seeing here is we are instantiating our class. Hello, am I speaking with someone?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So please, if where you are is not noisy, you can unmute your mic so you can make the class interactive. Okay. So yeah, in this case we created these fields, and we use our constructor to instantiate their values. If you look at this in this class, we just create these fields. We create this field and we create this constructor to be able to pass the values of these fields from where we instantiate them. So, and we are able to call functions inside our we are able to call the functions of our smartwatch right in the main file using the objects. So using these objects, we are able to call the function inside the class. Do you guys get it? Or do you want me to come again? Hello.
Sir.
Does it
I,
look like magic? Please, you guys should unmute your mic and
No.
speak.
please come again, sir.
Okay. Favor.
Yes, sir. Please come again.
All right. Please
Yes.
listen attentively. So let me just, let's just go here and let's start right from the uh so we have update going to put. Now look at this. Oh, sorry. That is an object-oriented programming language. So it supports the concept of class, object, etc. And that we can define class and object. Okay. So in that, you remember right from the beginning of this class, I mentioned that that is an object-oriented programming language. So it allows us to create an object, and we can use and manipulate objects in that programming language. So, and we have concepts of object-oriented programming, which includes abstraction, encapsulation, inheritance, and polymorphism. So, in that, to create an object, you have to create its blueprint, which is a class in this case. So to create an object, let's say we want to create an object of um let's go and create another object. Let's say we want to create an object uh file. Now to create an object, you can create a file for that object. So in this case, let's say we want to create phone as an object. See how I named my class, I mean file name. You can name it phone.dat like this. But what if it is a two words name? Let's say we want to create smartphone. We can say smart like this underscore phone, right? And when we press enter, we have a new file. Now, the definition says to create an object. I mean, it says to create an object, we need a class. Which class is the blueprint? You can see here, class is the blueprint of objects, and class is a collection of data members and data functions. Mean, means, I mean, class is the blueprint of objects, and class is the collection of data members and data function means, which include the feeds, getter, setter, and constructor and functions. So basically what they are saying here is we've heard it that class is a blueprint of an object. Let's say you want to, we all know what blueprint is, right?
Yes, sir.
So let's say D-Boy and Favor, you guys so please respond. You guys are the one I'm explaining this to.
Yes. Yeah.
Do you understand what blueprint is?
Yes, sir.
Okay,
Yes.
let's say you want to build a house. You already draw the structure of what you want your house will look like. That is a blueprint of your house. You draw the structure, you draw everything, you know what you need. That is the blueprint. It's that blueprint you give the bricklayers to work on, right? So you already have what you want in a prototype. So that is what um class is basically. That's just the functions of our class. So it's the blueprint of our objects. It is, you know what you want your object is, you want your object to be. So by creating a class is you are creating the architecture of, I mean, the structure of what you want your object to be. And this is the syntax of a class. So in this case, we want to create a smartphone object. So we already create a file for the class. Then we write class like this. Then the name of our object. In this case, we want to create smartphone. Now look at this.
Smartphone.
Look at this naming convention. I start with capital S, then smart, then capital P, because there is spacing between them. And Pivo, Debo, can anyone remind me the this type of naming convention? Pivo and Debo, what type of naming convention is this? I know we already discussed this in the last class with Oladapo. So I want you guys to remind me. D-Boy and Favor. Hello. Are you browsing it, Favor?
No, I don't know it.
You did not know it. Why? Why did you know? Okay. Remind me the naming convention we have in that. At least you cannot say I've not taught you a naming convention. Hello.
Um, camel case.
We have camel case one. D-Boy.
Yes.
So the naming convention, you are here. Please answer. Mention the naming convention we have in that. Hello, D-Boy. You are browsing it. I can see you.
No.
I can hear your keyboard splashing.
That's that's me. I'm actually typing the code in my VS Code.
Okay, okay. So
Yeah. Uh, Pascal case.
Pascal case one. You mentioned one. Favor mentioned another one. Please unmute your mic, Favor. You mentioned Pascal. You
I said
mentioned Camel
I
case.
said camel case.
Yes, there are more. So remind me the other one. There's one more at least.
Snake case.
Snake case, correct. So snake case is the one we use to create our file here. There's still one more.
Okay, sir.
Can anyone remind me that remaining one? Anyone?
Like case,
You said?
Pascal case.
I can hear you.
So I'm just listening then.
Yeah, I said there's remaining one. We know we've mentioned snake case, we've mentioned uh camel case, we've mentioned Pascal case. So there's one more. Which one is that? Can anyone remind me? Anyone?
Um, is it
Favor, please unmute your mic. I want you guys to be
that case?
interactive, please.
Um,
So which one is the last one? I know that last one is not supported in that. That is why we really use it. We don't even use it at all. So, but I wanted to remind you, there's one more
So I believe it's Keba case or is it Skiwa case?
keyword case. I don't think there's anything like keyword case.
Because like it has dashes going through it.
Yes,
Each word is separated by a hyphen or dash.
yes, it's quoted by hyphen, and it is called Kabeb case. It is called Kabeb case. All right. So again,
kebab.
yes. So this is Pascal casing. We use Pascal casing to create our class like this.
Shade stick.
Am I communicating? I hope you
Yes.
guys get it. So
Yes, sir.
the file is created with snake casing, right? So
Yeah.
Okay.
let's move on.
Yes, sir.
Now this is a class. This is a class that is Bluetooth of our smartphone. Now, right now, our smartphone doesn't have any fields. but we know that we have created an object of, let's say you want to build your house, you want to build. I mean, you've bought the land, you've just uh you just draw you just draw a square on your land. If you give that to bricklayer, what they will think you have is a fence, right? So they will just build. So basically, you do not have any future of your for your smartphone yet. It's just what it's just the object, no future yet, right? So now we can now access our feature, I mean our object from here. So we can create the object. You know, the class, what we created here is the blueprint. Now we can create the object of our smartphone by saying, we all know the syntax to create variable in that, right?
Yes, sir.
So the syntax is the data type. You remember I used to say there's custom data type. I used to mention custom data type. And in this case, your object is the custom data type. So in this case, smartphone is a data type. Sorry. Smartphone is a data type. The name, the variable name that you want to name it, my iPhone. Let's call it iPhone. My iPhone. Yes, so called iPhone is a smartphone, right? Hello.
Yes.
Yes, sir.
All right.
Yes.
So smartphone. Now we have created an object of our phone, of our smartphone. Even though it doesn't have any feature yet, it doesn't have any field yet, but at least we have created an object. Now, the constructor allows us to instantiate our objects. Hello.
Uh,
Constructor allows us to instantiate our objects. And in this case, our smartphone have a default constructor that is given to us by that. We can go ahead and create our constructor ourselves by saying smartphone like this. This is our constructor. This is a constructor, right? But by default, even if you did not create it, that automatically creates this for us, right? Now, I hope you understand what an object is now.
yes, sir.
Okay. So now, D-boy, are you following? Please.
I mean,
All right. So,
Yes, sir.
you have a question? Do you have a question?
No.
All right. Let's quick wrap this up so that we can move on to today's business. So, now we can, let's say our smartphone. Can anyone tell me features of a smartphone? What
Memory.
you said?
Memory.
Memory. Good. So let's represent that with an integer and say memory. Memory is equal to, okay, don't let us instantiate it. We can instantiate it here and say, let's say, 8 GB. Then any other feature, any other properties. This guy, you guys should be responsive, please.
Manufacturer.
Wi-Fi.
You said
Wi-Fi.
Wi-Fi, okay. Let's call it Wi-Fi band because we know they have different bands. So let's say integer
Yes.
Wi-Fi bands,
My,
and let's call it I don't know the how big their numbers used to be. But let's just represent it with 200. Okay, another thing
Yes, I found it.
you say,
Um,
please, please. Someone mentioned manufacturer earlier, right? So that would be a string, right? We
yes,
call it
yes.
manufacturing.
So
Manufacture. Okay, sorry. Uh, is equal to now. Let's say we call it techno. So now let's just leave it here. Now this is the properties of our objects, right? These are the properties. Now in here now, let me comment this smartwatch. Now here we can print. Let's say we want to create we can say print my smartphone dot manufacturer. Let's say we want to print the manufacturer of our phone and say manufacturer. So uh now if you run min.dat, sorry, you could not find okay. Now look at it. You see, Techno was printed to the console. Techno was printed to the console because we from inside from the main file we are able to access the manufacturer, right? Also, we can also print that is with the object we can access all the properties of the objects. That is all the properties in the class. So we are able to print the memory space. Now, let's say this is a smartphone, but in here we are already instantiating their file. What if, we can have a smartphone can be a Techno phone, it can be an iPhone, it can be different operating system, right? So to make their data dynamic, let's say we want to create for Techno, we want to create for uh Infinix, we want to create for Redmi, and since we are passing we are instantiating their parameter here, it's not quite useful. So there's this constructor. We can create a constructor. Sorry. We can create a constructor, and the syntax to create a constructor is smartphone, something like this. You can watch the other types of different way we can create constructor in the previous class, but for this one we'll just move on with this. We already know type of naming, parameters, right? So in this case, we are using named parameters. So now let's save manufacturer and we'll make it required because can anyone tell me why we make it required?
such that it must show up.
Actually, not to. I know we talked about it in the last class. I want
Okay.
Vivo to mention why we put required in front of them. Yeah, why we put required here? Why we put required here? Please, you guys. I know we've discussed this severally.
Yeah, to make sure the person.
I can hear you.
I said to make sure putting required means you have to.
Mean putting requirement means you have to pass the parameter when you are instantiating the objects. All right. So, oh, sorry, manufacturer is memory. So now, with this constructor created, we can now pass different values to our constructor, to our object. So in this case, let's say we create iPhone, let's say we create iPhone XR. Now, in fact, let's do this. Let's put operating system string O. Let's just call it OS. OS. That is operating system. And this will be this dot OS. And we make it required. So in our main file, we can say now we want to create your smartphone. We can say, all right, my iPhone XR, the operating system for iPhone is iOS, right? iOS. Then memory. Memory can be 6 gig RAM, comma, manufacturer. Manufacturer can be Apple, right?
Yes, sir.
And also, what else do we have? We have Wi-Fi band. Wi-Fi band. We have 260. All right. So now we can now access. If you try to print here, so you see the manufacturer is Apple and the memory is 60 gram. Now, this is one object. I can also create, I can use the same object to create as many, I mean, I can use the same blueprint to create as many objects as I want. So for in this case, I have created my iPhone. Let's say I'm a company that want to create different smartphone now. I can create iPhone. I can also create my Tecno phone. I can create. So since Tecno phone is also a smartphone, right?
Yes, sir.
So I can create smartphone and call it um so I can call it, let's say Tecno, I don't know. Okay, let's just call it Redmi because I know about Redmi Redmi 13 and Redmi 12. So and is equal to then smartphone. What are the properties of your Redmi 13? So the manufacturer will be Redmi, right? I mean Xiaomi. I'm not sure I remember Xiaomi. I think this is how they write it, right? So their operating system will be what? Will be Android. Android. So memory can be 8 gig RAM, 8 gig, and can have Wi-Fi band of let's call it 200. So now we can use this, we can call Redmi 13C dot memory. So this we can use the variable name to access the property. So for Redmi 13C, the manufacturer will print Apple. Let's just print manufacturer here too. So for Redmi 13C, Redmi the manufacturer will print Xiaomi. So just like this. So you can create as many objects as you want. Are we clear?
So
So as well, we can have a function here. We can have a function inside our class. Call it, let's say, void ring. I know all smartphone rings, right? Then we can say, let's just print ringing, right? So in fact, we can also have a parameter here inside our function to print to let's say we want to, based on different operating system, we want to have different ringing tone, right? So we can say string ringing tone, right? So ringing, and then we pass the ringing tone like this. So in fact, we can make it optional. We can make it optional by making this nullable. So now we can call Redmi. Are you guys following me? Please.
yes, sir.
Okay, so we can call, let's print. No, we don't even need to print. We can call Redmi dot ring. So if we pass the parameter, if we do not pass the parameter, it will just print ringing. But if you pass parameter, let's call iPhone dot ring, and let's print iPhone. Let's just put iPhone ringing tone. Because it's a name. Can anyone tell me why it's throwing error here? I want to see if you guys are following me. Why is it throwing error here? At least it's requiring for data type of string. So, and we pass string. So why should it be complaining? Are you guys truly paying attention?
Yes, sir. Still.
So why is it complaining here? At least we've satisfied everything that is required, but why is it complaining? Why is it still complaining here? Hello? Is anyone in the
Sir.
class? Why is it
Yes,
this
sir.
complaining? Eh? I can hear you. Oladapo D-boy, favor. Why is it complaining? D-boy, favor. Please unmute your mic if your place is not noisy. Hello.
Yes, sir.
So,
I'm asking you guys a question. Oh. I said, why is it complaining?
Hmm.
Okay, to save our time.
because of the space.
You say? You say what? Okay. So you guys can.
Yes, yes. Um, you mean why is this complaining?
Yes.
Yeah, it's meant to be. Um, another case, not this case.
I don't get. Like, you mean it's supposed to be a naming another convention?
Yes,
Why? What do you mean by that? Like, convention only works for name. We are not naming here. Convention only affects naming. Let's say you want to name a file, or you want to name a variable, or you want to name a class. That's only where convention works. It doesn't work for string. Anything you put inside the format is a string. Is that
Mm.
correct?
Yes, sir.
All right. So why is it complaining? Well, it's complaining because this is a named parameters, but we are passing positional parameter. What is the difference between named parameter and positional parameter? As you can see here, this is a named parameter. And for a named parameter, you have to call the name of the parameter you are passing. Hello,
Uh,
am I
Hello.
communicating?
Yes, sir.
So for a named parameter, you have to call the name of the parameter you are calling. So in this case, we have to pass ringtone. We have to call ringtone, then pass the value to it. Hello, I hope you guys get
I
it. So please always pay attention to those tiny things that are required. So that was why it is complaining. We have to call the name. If it is a positional parameter, if it's a positional parameter, let's say we do not have to. This is a positional parameter. Then we don't have, we shouldn't call the name. You see, we shouldn't call the name. And by default, positional parameter are required, and that is why this one is complaining. You can see it says one positional argument is expected by ring, but zero found. So by default, the positional parameter is required. So please don't forget that. All right. So let me clear. So as you can see, ringing the Redmi 12C, Redmi 12C. Yeah, I was supposed to I meant to write Redmi 12C here, not Redmi C12. Let me see if I can rename that. Redmi 12. Yeah. All right, so yeah, good to go now. So we have this. So we have this, and Redmi 12 printed ringing null. If you want to make it to not print this null, we will simply do what? Hello. If we don't want it to make to return, I mean to print null when the data is null, what do we need to do? Hey, hello.
put I
So what do we need to do?
want to print more.
Yeah, we don't want it to print null. Yeah, when we don't pass this parameter, this value will be null. But we don't want this to
Mm.
be null. We don't want this null to be printed to our console like this. So what do we need to do here?
So hold on.
Okay.
I just want to make sure that what I want to say is correct.
Just say it. Just say it. This is a safe
So I
space.
believe listen, when you were first teaching us about null values,
Yes.
um there was this thing you did where you place another string behind the variable such that if it were to be empty, something will show in its place instead of null.
Correct. So simply we'll safely unwrap it.
Right? That's the word. Right. Thank you, sir.
So we can safely unwrap by first thing we need to make this like this, and then we safely unwrap to empty string. That's just it.
Just put
So
silence there.
yeah, so now if we run it again, let me clear, and you can see ringing, ringing iPhone, I mean ringing iPhone ringing tone. So that is that about the. Now we can move on to this today's business. Now let's start from constructor. There are different types of constructor. Let me see if this website talks about the types of constructor. Uh, Not sure. We've talked about the default constructor. We've talked about parameterized constructor, named constructor. Oh, so this is what I'm looking for. Named constructor. Okay, let's see. All right, so now what is a named constructor? Let's say this smartphone object, you want to set some defaults. That is, user doesn't even need to pass the parameter, or you just want to call different constructor for, for this case, there are two major types of phone, right? I mean, phone operating system. There may be more,
Yes,
but there are two globally major types, which is iOS and Android, right?
yes, sir.
Okay. Now, let's say you want to make a constructor for iPhone separate than Android. We can use a named constructor. And this is the syntax for named constructor. Now, let's say we can say smartphone dot iPhone. Then we pass all the, then we pass everything here. Then just copy it directly from here and paste it. You see? We can also create a default for Android as well, right? And in fact, instead of making the operating system default again, we can do something like is equal to, because with the constructor, you can actually pass the value right. You can pass the default value right from the constructor. Hello.
Hi.
Yeah, so you can pass value right from the constructor, and we can say this is Android, and when here we can say this is equal to iPhone. Hello.
Hi.
So by default, anywhere here, you can say my Redmi 12C dot Android. So let's say we remove the OS from here. Favor, please, are you following us? Favor, hey, this guy has gone to sleep. Oh,
I did not sleep. Oh. Yes, I'm following.
you are not. You are sleeping. You are sleeping. How
I was trying
how can I
to
be
zoom
sure you
out the screen back
you
to
say what?
unmute the mic. I was trying to zoom out the screen back to unmute the.
Please try and be responsive, so that's
Yes,
the
sir.
only way I can be sure that you are not sleeping. Correct?
Yes, sir.
All right. So
Yes,
now
sir.
here you see I have removed the naming convention. I mean I have created a named parameter, I mean named constructor for each of the operating system. And as you can see here, I did not pass the operating system here, but I have set it by default here from here. Now, look at this. Let's print the operating system, OS, and print the OS from here. And let me clear console and let's run our code. So you see, by default, it prints Android for Redmi 12C and iPhone for iPhone XR. Hello, hello. Do you see
Hi.
the purpose of named constructor here?
Yes, sir.
Now, look at something again. Well, we can make this by default for this is not constructor based. I mean, assigning value to a field in the constructor. It's not constructor type based, right? But look at something we can also do. Instead of, because here, look at this. We can manipulate, this is supposed to be Android, and we have passed it to Android by default. We can also manipulate it by saying OS is iPhone, is iOS, which that is not supposed to happen, right? If you are following me, this is not supposed to happen.
Sir.
Hello?
Yes.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Hi.
Because we should not, since we have passed the Android operating system by default, this we should not be able to manipulate it again, since we know Android should always be iOS. I mean, should always be Android. iOS should always be, Apple should always be iOS. So by using this approach where you set it, this is just setting the default. It doesn't mean that we cannot manipulate it later, right? So what if,
Hi. Yes, sir.
let me clear the console. Now, if you try and run, you will see that for Xiaomi, it prints iOS, which is not supposed to happen. Now, what can we do? We can we can set their default value by doing this. Do I remember? Uh, OS for Android. Mm, hold on. I think I'm correct. So here we can remove it from here as well and say by default by default OS is equal to iOS. Now, look at this. I am not passing the OS to the constructor anymore, but instead I initialize it right where the constructor is being called. Hello, am I communicating?
I.
Please, if you have to, if you would
Yes, sir.
have to watch this video again and again, make sure you understand what everything I'm explaining here, because they are very important to our Flutter programming. All right. So here we can now from here, you see here, if I try to manipulate OS, it's not going to accept it. You see, it's saying that the named parameter OS isn't defined. And if I try to do the same thing here as well, OS, it's not going to take it, right? And that is because we did not pass their value to the constructor. Hello,
I.
I'm communicating, right?
Yes, sir.
Now
Yes, sir.
let's try and print the OS and see if we would have a value printed. Let's call that dot run, and you can see for iOS we have iOS, for Android we have Android.
So,
Hello.
sir, sorry, sir. So basically, it's that thing we just wrote is designed such that the OS always remain as it is being predefined in the constructor and cannot change once you are trying to instantiate it.
Yes, you cannot
Okay.
even call it when you are trying to call your constructor. You cannot pass its value.
Okay.
Right.
Thank you,
So
sir.
anytime we are calling constructor.android, our code automatically knows that the OS you are trying to call is Android OS. When you call smartphone.iOS, it knows the operating system you are trying to call is iOS. Now, we have another one called factory constructor. Well, factory constructor is, I can understand the reason why it's not there, because factory constructor is not really a constructor, but a function. Okay, let's see how it looks like. Let's say I wanted to accept a map from this, and from there I wanted to create an object of this uh smartphone. Okay, let's see how it looks so that you understand it better. Now we can say factory factory. Hold on. Okay. Okay. So let's say factory um smartphone. It looks like named constructor, right? Smartphone dot uh let's say from JSON. Let me just call it from JSON or from map, because you will see something like you will see this name a lot. So from map. Now this will must return the constructor of that class. So we'll say smartphone, and then my factor is supposed to be factory. Yeah. Hold on, please let me check. I'm missing this. Mm, I don't understand what's going on here. It's supposed to. Oh, sorry. Sorry. I'm inside main function. I'm supposed. I'm supposed to be here. So you can't create a constructor outside where it's supposed outside the class zone. So I'm sorry for that. I didn't notice I was creating it. I was still inside the main function. So we can say factory, then we can call smart and so basically factory constructor is just you are trying to create your constructor from a function. Let's call it that. Now we can accept map string. We all know what map is, right? Hello.
Yes, sir.
We all know what map is. Let's call it map.
Sir.
You have a question?
Yes, sir.
Okay, please go ahead.
No, like you asked me a question. I'm saying yes, sir.
Okay. So, um, we can get, this is just like a function. Is like a named constructor, but instead of us to pass its value, we can decode our value from the map from the um value that is passed to it and return our constructor. For instance, we can say manufacturer is equal to map and Wi-Fi band. So from here, so from here, from this function, from this map, we can decode the value of our parameters and create an object from there. Okay, let's see now. Let's say we have a JSON file. Let's say we have a JSON file or a data from our backend that comes in form of JSON. The first thing we need to do is decode that JSON to to wrap it to be a map. So now, once we get our map, let's say this is the map we get from it there. You can say final map of string dynamic. Let's say you can call it JSON, or let's call it phone JSON. Phone JSON can be equal to
What?
now. We all know syntax. I mean, we all know how to create a map. I believe. Favor the boy. Do we all know how to create a map?
Yes.
All right. So here I can see, then let's call the manufacturer Hytel. I'll call it Hytel in this case. Also, let's have memory and call it 4 GB. And let's call Wi-Fi band and uh let's call it 100 and OS let's call it Android. Now, now this is the response we got from our our JSON file. So say we can say smartphone dot from map is equal to, smartphone dot from map, then we just pass the value of this JSON map. So from here, let's name it um let's just say another phone because we do not know the type of operating system that is coming from our backend. So let's just call it another phone is equal to this. Then from here we can say we can print another phone dot manufacturer. So now let's clear and run again. Okay, as you can see, it was able to get the value of our manufacturer right from this object, right from this JSON. Hello, hello, are you
Sorry,
following? Is
I
there any
was doing some.
question? Is there a question?
Yes, sir, because I didn't the part where you said and listen from apps, such that I didn't really understand because I was
Okay,
called to do something here in the house,
okay,
so I
okay.
had to meet my partner, sir.
All right. So, um, as you can see here, this from app function, the constructor, it looks like a
Yes,
function and also looks
yes,
like named function. And this is the syntax. You have to pass factory, and a factory constructor must return an actual constructor.
mm,
Just like this, must return an actual constructor. Now, let's say you do not know your value yet. You are calling an endpoint or whatever to get your value for you. Now, the data that value that's coming, you take them as a map or whatever you want to take them as. Then you can safely unwrap them to the value or fits of the constructor here. Just like we are wrapping, you shall know, you all understand how to access the value of a map.
yes, sir.
So in this case, we are using a map, then we access the value of the map by value of the key, by the key. So we use manufacturer to access the value of the manufacturer. We use Wi-Fi band to access the value of the Wi-Fi band. use OS to access the value of the OS. So now, in the main class, wherever we want to call it, we just need to do smartphone dot from map, then the value, that is the object. So let's say this is the object that's coming from our backend. So we just need to pass the JSON. Let's say this is the JSON that's coming from our back. You just need to pass the JSON to the factory constructor. It will automatically get the value for us. Is it clear?
Yes, sir.
Or do you need I should reiterate it again?
No, sir. I understand.
Divo boy and favor. Do you guys get it?
Yes.
All right. So that is that about constructors of in that programming language. That's that about constructor. Um Now let's move on to concept of object-oriented programming. Now let me see. So after this, that we will move on to Flutter. Maybe by next class we should be done with this object-oriented concepts. So um, let's do this. Okay. Yeah, let's I think we can use this. This is what's called encapsulation. Encapsulation, inheritance, polymorphism, and abstraction. I think these have everything we need. I think these have everything we need. So let's just use this. Uh, let me share. I'm not able to. Let me see if I can share this to you, in case you might want to read. You see, I'm not able to move to other channels. I don't know why Slack is doing this. Let me share it to my phone, and later I will just share it with you. Uh, okay, so I think you have it now. Uh, Now, like I said, object-oriented programming have different concepts. So we have encapsulation, inheritance, polymorphism, and abstraction. Now, these concepts allow us to write clean code and help us to write modular application. Now, we have a first concept called encapsulation. So this is encapsulation is bundling of data and methods that operates on the data within a single unit known as class. It hides the internal state of an object from outside world, only exposing the necessary functionalities through well-defined interface. Okay, so all this grammar is saying that encapsulation allows you to hide your implementation. I mean, it helps you to hide the states of your objects or your fields from outside world, except you need to access them through a well-defined structure or interface. Okay. Let's see what does that means in our code because all this grammar. Now, should no, let's just use our own implementation. Now, let's say um this our smartphone. We have something called their serial ID or IM. All phones have IMEI, right? So let's just use that string IMEI. Now, the IMEI, we don't want it to be exposed to everybody, right? We don't want everybody to have access to our IMEI except authorized uh person. So we can we can make it a private field. Now, in other programming language, to make something private, by default, everything we are creating is public. In Java, you would have to write public, you write public, something like this. Even if you are creating a variable, you write something like public string, kini con, then it's value. But by default, if you don't put anything like this, they are public. Now, in that, to make a in Java, sorry, to make something protected, or I mean to make a field to be a private field, you would have to write private like this. So by private, the data of that field can never be accessed outside where it is outside this class. Private fields can only be accessed within the same class. Hello,
Like,
do you get it? Now, how do we represent private in that? You just need to put underscore in front of your variable name, right? You just need to put private in front of your variable name. Now, let's set it to default 0. I mean, empty string, so that the constructor will not be complaining, right? So that is our IMEI. Now, let's say we have an authorized individual to be able to set our the IMEI. Let's say the company itself wants to. Now we would have to create a functions that will only allow them to set the value a of our fields. In this case, IMEI. Now, this is a private field. Now, look at something here. Let's see if we'll be able to access the IMEI of our device. So, dots. In fact, first look at all these suggestions. Do you see anything like IMEI? No, because
yes, sir.
it's field. And if you try to do something like this, you see it's throwing error. That is the getter IMEI isn't defined for smartphone because you would not be able to access it. It is a private field. Now, let's go back to our class. Now, we made this private. Now, what if an authorized member wants to set the value? We have some kind of function called setter and getter, and that is what you see. That's what you saw here earlier. I think you saw it. Okay, it's not a. Okay, we have getter and setter. So getter and setter are methods. Are method. I mean, getter and setter method are class methods used to manipulate the data of a class. Getter is used to read or get the data of the class, whereas setter is used to set the data of the class. So, hold on, please, a minute. Let me put the text to a big screen. Okay. Yeah. So now, getter and setter allows you to manipulate the value of a field. Now, in this case, okay, let's look at the syntax first. Now, let's say you have a private variable. The following diagram illustrates a person class that includes, where is the person class? Okay, this diagram. You have a person class. You know, a person is an object. You have a person class. The name of the person is a private variable. You don't want anybody to just set the value of the name. So that's why I made it a private. So you can also, I mean, you only authorized function would able to set its value. Now let's go back to our code. Now, how do we set the value of IMI? We'll create a function, and in this case, we create a setter function to be able to set. Now, a setter function is a function where you say you put the keyword set in front. Then you can create a variable called set name. I mean set IMEI, in this case, IMEI. Then now a setter function must take a parameter. You get, must accept a parameter, because that's the parameter you are trying to, the value that you will be setting to your field. So in this case, we'll say string IMEI. Then you can say private variable IMEI, or you can say this dot IMEI is equal to IMEI. That is, this private variable IMEI should be equals to the IMEI that is coming from this setter function. Hello, hello, hello.
Aye.
Am I making sense?
Aye.
Am I making sense?
Yes, sir.
Okay. People has left us. Okay. All right, so that is a setter function. Now, we also have another one called getter function. So this one returns a value. You see that setter function doesn't return any value. Now, a getter function will return the data type of our field. So in this case, we have sets, we have the data type string, the gets, and the name gets IMEI. Now, this one doesn't take in any value, so it's not necessary to, we don't need to put this brackets. We only need to return value. And what do we want to return? We want to return a private IMEI. So like this. Now, let's say we are authorized now. Since we cannot pass the IMEI from here, we can say, let's use JSON, this, no, let's use, let's see this Redmi 13C, and say Redmi 12C dot set IMEI. You can see is equal to then the whatever we want to pass as our IMEI, just like this. And then from here we can use dot get IMEI to get the IMEI. Now let's see, let's print that. Let's click first and run. So as you can see, we have our IMEI printed. Hello,
Hi.
is there any question?
So,
I hope you get it. So we have setter and getter function.
yeah.
Now, the rules of encapsulation is not limited to a field alone. We can make a private uh you can make a private function as well, though that private function can only be called within the class. We cannot set the feed later, we cannot get it later. It can only be called within the class. For example, let's say we want to write a program to get the ringing tone. Now, let's say we have a function. Let's say we have a function. Let's say void. It's not void in this case. It will be a string because we want to return the ringing tone. And we create a private parameter, a private function, and we call it get ringing tone. We want to dynamically get ringing tone for ourselves by ourselves. So remember, this is not a getter function. Oh. Don't think because I say get ringing tone, it's a getter function. No. To make a function getter or setter, you would have to pass this get or set. So this is just another normal function, but it's a private function because of the underscore in front of the phone, in front of the name. So now, before we now return, we'll say if OS is equal to Android, Android, then it should return Android Android ringtone. Or else, I believe we all know what if else does, right? This is not new to us, right? Hello.
Hi.
I said you all know if else. We are not new to this.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so we can say return. Or is there any question? I
Ah,
was D-boy favor. Please, you guys should be
Yes, we are here.
know. All right. Now, so this function can only be called inside this class alone. We cannot come here and say, we want to say, we want to say, uh, Redmi, Redmi 12 dot get ringtone or dot get ringtone. This is not going to work. So, because of what? Because of encapsulation, we are setting the value to be private. And here we can say before if we want to ring, we can first get the ringing tone, get ringing tone, and since that is will return a value, we can say string ringing tone is equal to, then we remove. So then we will not need this again. So, and also this will not be required to be. So now inside our ring function, we can basically inside our main function, we can basically remove this parameter we are passing. And if we call this function, let me clear out console. You see, it gets our ringing tone for us. Hello,
hi.
you can see it gets our ringing tone for us.
Okay.
So that is that about encapsulation. Should we stop here or move on? We still have enough time, right? Let's just move on. Or you have what? We should continue, right? Now let's look at that is about encapsulation. So now let's look at inheritance. Should we look at inheritance first? Mm, mm. So let's look at polymorphism. Maybe if you have enough time, we'll look at abstraction. Then the inheritance will be okay. You can look at. No, let's look at inheritance. Let's make it hierarchical. So let's look at inheritance. Inheritance is allowing an object to, to inherit properties or function from a super object. Hello.
Hi.
Inheritance allows our object to inherit um, properties of function from a super class or a super object. Okay. Now, let's say we have this our class, this our object. Now, this object we have this object is a smartphone, right? Now, not all phone are smartphone, but all smartphone are phone, right?
Yes, sir.
Let me come again. Not all phone are smartphone, but all smartphone are phone. Example is your button phone. In quotes, that your Nokia S10, I mean Nokia, this thing that we used to use in those days, they are not smartphone. We used to call them phone then. They are not called smartphone then, right? Now, hello,
Yes,
please,
sir.
I want you guys to
Right.
respond. Now, we all know that being a phone, there should be a particular feature that they all have as a phone. Even though a smartphone might have a different or another purpose, another feature, but as a phone, they all have a common feature. Some of the common feature is ability to call, ability to receive call. Let's say those are the basic feature of a phone. Now, let's create an object of a phone. Hello, please, if it's getting too much, you can tell me to stop. I want you guys to get this because this is very important. In fact, I will try and as much as possible to make this video to be available today so that you guys can watch it
I'm not
again. You
sure.
see?
Okay.
So you guys should
Because I just want
watch it again and again to be able to get this concept very well.
okay,
Now,
sir.
let's create an object of a phone. Under that. Now, please, can someone remind me how to create this a syntax to create a phone? Hello, syntax to
Hi.
create a phone. I mean, syntax to create a class. Please remind me. I want all of you to participate in this. So, to create a class, what do I need to do? I already create the file phone.dat. Hello, D-boy, Favor, Oladapo, please.
I'm right here.
Yes,
So I'm
yes,
asking you a
I'm
question, right?
Yes, sir.
So how do I create the objects or the blueprint of our phone?
We first start with its name. We first put the keyword class, then write the name of the blueprint of what we're trying
Class,
to create. Phone,
then create the
capital letter. Yes.
phone. Right. Now we have created an object of our phone. Now, what are the properties of our phone and what are the functions? First thing that is common for them is what is let's use battery capacity, right? Let's use integer battery capacity, right? And in fact,
Yes, sir.
let's instantiate this one right from here. So, no, 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 don't let us instantiate them. Let's use constructor. Now, we have battery capacity. Sorry, 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 bro. All right, so we have battery capacity, other features of a phone, other properties of a phone. Sorry. Other properties of a phone that is common for all phones. Please. Hello.
I
You
battery
guys are not
capacity. We
following me.
also have. I am.
You guys are not following me. Eh? Are you sleeping on this?
That's sir.
All right. So, what other properties does phone have in
SIM
common?
card capacity.
Okay. Let's call it SIM slots.
SIM slots.
We call it. Let's call. Let's call it. It's an integer, right? So let's say because let's say we want to know the number of SIM slots. So let's use integer SIM slots. Okay. Is the two enough, or we can just okay? Let's use another one called ringing tone. String. That would be string. Okay. Then let's create their constructor. Let me see if I can have uh, let's create the constructor. Now, D-boy, help me to create the constructor here. D-boy.
What type of constructor?
Well, you say what?
What type of constructor?
Let's use a normal constructor in this case. Because we don't have any type of object, we just want to create normal constructor. So help me.
Uh, you can create string wallpaper.
That is a field, not constructor. I'm asking you for constructor right now.
Which type of constructor?
It can be normal constructor now. You can just create normal constructor for now.
I'm still thinking of a constructor we can use.
You are still thinking of constructor we can use.
Yeah,
The you are not following us, honestly.
I'm following.
You are not. It's obvious. You are not. What do you mean by you are thinking of constructor to use? Okay, just pick one. What comes to your head? Let's see what you are thinking. What comes to your head? Hello.
Yes.
What comes to your head when I mention the constructor?
Yeah,
What is a constructor?
Please excuse me.
Yeah.
yeah. A constructor. Please, I have to go through this class again.
You deform my hand, honestly. You are falling my hand, honestly. This is something I've been reiterating since the beginning of this class.
Yes, I don't know what to construct. Like, I don't know what to think of.
What do you mean you don't know what to think of? This is just what we have been doing. This is what we've been doing since a while. This
Okay,
is a constructor. This is basically what I'm asking you to do. Where is it? This? This is a constructor. This is a constructor. So in this case that we are trying to create constructor for phone, So what we just need to do is the parameter name, I mean the class name, brackets, then we put in our fields dot is the battery capacity. Oladapo, please, when you are back, let us know. So let's just move on. I believe you understand all this. So same slots. Same slots. Mm. So this is basically your constructor. So what do you now mean that you are still thinking of what to use? This is basically your constructor. Do you get it now? The boy, do you get it?
Yeah. Yes.
I hope if I ask you to create a constructor once again, you won't be fumbling.
I'll I'll create it.
Okay. Please watch this video again.
Yes, I'm going to rewatch it.
Please. Okay. I'm begging you. Oladapo, we are waiting for you, please. Let me pause the video while it's not here. You can also take a break while we wait for him.